Today is April 15th and I'm preparing to split this wood and get it stacked. So I've already begun to get this ready. As you can see, this is got a roof over it with an overhang so none of the rainwater will splash upon the firewood. I redecked the bottom here where the wood's going to sit. The original one was pretty well rotted out, so I replaced it with pressure treated 4x4s on the bottom and some pressure treated decking I had kicking around from our old stairs. So what I did was I pulled it all out and I had to add this, what I guess you could call this a knee wall, which goes up to the support for the roof. The original board had come all the way over to this pallet, and the pallet's been in the ground and it's all rotted on the bottom, and rather than pull that out completely and have to have this whole thing sag and collapse, I decided to just build a new support wall off the new good wood, which is all pressure treated. So even that horizontal piece is pressure treated and I have regular lumber coming up. So this is plumb square and level and all that. So what I'm going to do is put a piece of plywood to reinforce this thing, and what I'm going to do is attack the other side. I have some scrap lumber prepared. So same thing with this one. If you look on the bottom, see how it's all rotted out? That's not serving much as a support for the roof. So I build another support off of this surface that has a good base to it, then that'll provide some good support. And I'll just run it up to the top here like this one is. Now to give you some comparison, let me show you what the floor looked like, an approximation of it at least. Here's the floor of what was an existing bay of firewood, and between the weight of the firewood pushing down on the pallets and the pallets kind of rotting out and sinking in, that's what I'm left with. So I didn't want to start stacking brand new red oak on top of wet ground, because that would just pull up a lot of moisture and create a lot of rot and a lot of bug haven. So basically what I did was I turned this surface here into a structurally sound surface to stack wood on. There is an air space between the bottom so that this can breathe and not have moisture get stuck in there. So when I stack the wood on top of it, any moisture in the ground can wick through here and vent and not transfer to the wood. So I'm going to put a piece of plywood on that end to reinforce that, and then I'm going to build another one on this side, and then we can start loading this up with firewood. Okay, I got the plywood in. It's flush with the outside edge, and I made sure I did not connect it to this pallet, because at some point this has got to come out and get replaced. So this is standing proud of the pallet. Nothing is fastened to that, which was supporting the roof. Now we have this new piece, goes top to bottom all the way up, and I got it resting on top of the roof truss right there, or the roof ridge board, or whatever you want to soffit plate, whatever you want to call it. So it's solid against this board, which is supporting the roof. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch my attention to this end here and do the same thing. I build a knee wall from here on up and support it up in this area as well. So once that's done, we'll be ready to stack this with some firewood. So this is going to be the bottom of the knee wall. It's going to go and support the roof. So this is pressure treated, this is, that is, and that is. So these are the areas that are most likely to get damp and need the most protection. So I'm going to measure from this point upwards and this point upwards and get my vertical supports. So it looks like we're at 62.5 on the right hand side, I have to measure this side because this might have settled a bit. 62.5. Okay, so I need a 62.5 inch support, but I got to take an 1.5 inches off for the 2x4 that's going to run across. So it's going to make it 61. So now what I'm going to do is I got to attach the base to the verticals. I draw 2 lines to coincide with the thickness of the board. I'm going to pre-drill 2 holes. That way we don't split the wood when we screw it in. So basically what I'm going to do is go this way, all the way through. This is big enough for the screws to pass through the base. This big drill is the same size as the screws. Then I'll switch over to a skinnier drill bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to line it up with the corner of the board so everything's lined up. And I'm going to pre-drill where these are going to go. That just makes it easier to put these in with the screw gun. And then we just screw them in. There's one. And there's 2. Now I got to do the same thing on the other side. Pre-drill where the screws are going to bite into the verticals. And we'll put the screws in. And that'll hold this together. Here's the second one. Okay, now I'm going to lay it in that bay, and the top might be a little wider than the base, so I got to give it a test fit. Okay, I fastened it against this wall. I got it vertical in this direction, and now I'm going to make sure it's vertical in this direction, and I'm going to mark this board where I need to cut it. Right there. So I want to cut this board, this horizontal board. Cut this piece off, and then I'll screw this in here and here, and we're all set. Right there. Now here's the trick. For those of you who don't know, if you're cutting on top of something that you don't want to cut into, set the depth of the blade just a little bit short of the thickness, so there's a little feather edge holding this thing together. So then what you can do is just break it off. This way you don't cut into your wheelbarrow, because the wheelbarrow is a good surface, but you don't want to cut in across. So that's a little trick. Thought I'd share it with you. Okay, let's make sure that fits. That's looking pretty good. Alright, just get it up to the top. Screw it in. Alright, that was a relatively simple job. Alright, I'm going to call this Bay 1 of the firewood shed. So the base is all set. It's all pressure treated wood. I have a support reinforced with a plywood on this end and support on this end. The reason I'm doing this again is because the original supports, which were pallets on top of pressure treated 2x4s, are all rotted out and the whole unit sinking down. So by getting it on something with more firm footing and attached up top here, this will prevent any additional sagging or sinking. And it's not connected to this pallet at all, so I can take these pallets out and replace them or just keep this wall here. So that's the plan. So this one's all set to start filling up with firewood. This the hideaway nook is on the other side, and that's a spot where I store, I got some shelving and I store some of my equipment for the yard. So the next step is to uncover the wood splitter, which is underneath those brown and blue tarps. And we're going to take some of these bigger slabs, split them down to a more manageable size, dump them in the wheelbarrow, and bring them out back and put them in the new bay that we just got all dollied up.